You made it a game there because really I didn't know who was going to win at any given point in time.
So who would you guys say was the MVP of the game?
Forte?
Matt Forte for 2 touchdowns.
Matt Forte. He might be the MVP of the game, but in order to be an MVP,
Oh my God.
you have to have support of your fellow NBA players.
You're lucky there's soda on this table. It would have been flipped.
Lonzo has support of his fellow NBA players. Jordan Crawford has decided to start wearing Lonzo's signature shoes, the ZO2s. This is the first step in more players wearing his shoes, expanding his brand and his influence.
Is it?
That is why Lonzo Ball is your 2017-2018 NBA MVP.
Assuming there's nobody else to vote for.
Did you guys have fun with that?
Yeah, that was good.
That was great. That was friggin' awesome.
So now you two got to play next time, and
Yeah.
we'll commentate, and then we'll have to have a championship.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier. If we decide to continue because it was fun, which it really was, Tony and I will play. You guys do the broadcast. And then the winners will play against each other. So Dan O'Shea moves on. Next week...
In that riveting, dominating performance. Strong defensive showing.
Next week, Tony and I will play. And it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, guys. Let's get out of broadcaster mode and get back into sportscaster mode, all right?
I don't think I've ever intercepted 7 passes in a Madden game ever.
Ever.
And
only 6 were interceptions. One was a fumble return to kick off off the opening kickoff.
Still, I mean, I've played a lot, and I used to play, 13, 14 against the thing on rookie, and it didn't give me that many interceptions. That was insane.
That was incredible. All right, so now that we've finished our Madden Broadcast Challenge, or whatever you want to call it, and we've gotten through the MVP talk, let's talk about Dan O'Shea's forte here, for lack of a better word, forte. The NHL playoffs. They are set. I have the matchups here. Dan, you are clearly the more seasoned NHL guy. So, a few things. One, raise your hand here if your team made the playoffs.
This guy!
Ugh.
This guy!
Ugh.
Expansion team all the way! I hope they win the cup.
The Stars were like the next team out of the playoffs.
I mean, better you guys than the Penguins, so...
I think almost everybody can agree that the Penguins are terrible.
They're
Satan worshippers, last I heard.
I've heard that.
Real honest question for you here, Dan O'Shea. Which would be worse, the Penguins or the Bruins winning the...
The Penguins.
Really?
And I almost made a
definitely
really
the
terrible
Penguins.
joke about the Penguins. We're going to continue on.
Okay.
The Bruins, while I don't like them, they're not in hockey. They're not like the huge rivalry for the Rangers. It's like Pittsburgh, the freaking Flyers,
New Jersey.
Yeah, the Devils, the Islanders. Those are much more hated teams. So I'm rooting for the Lightning because if they win the cup, we get another first round pick.
It's a good way to look at it.
Failing that, then I'm rooting for I'll probably go for the
Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah.
Let's go Vegas. I'm not going to be getting any sleep in the next couple of weeks because every Vegas game isn't on until 10 o'clock at night.
It starts at 10 tomorrow.
Every single game is on at midnight.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to stick true with what I did last year. I'm just Preds.
Predators? Okay.
Predators are a strong team.
Sticking with the Preds.
There are some quality matchups in the first round too.
Yeah, let's.
I think they'll take the Avalanche.
We'll get to those in just a minute. Dan O'Shea, your hockey prayers have been answered. AV gone.
Yes. He's not like a terrible coach. He just is not right for the Rangers anymore. He had success. We went to the Cup. We almost went back again. But he couldn't adjust well. And he favored vets over young guys, and especially now after now that we're doing a rebuild, that's not someone you want
He's not the kind of guy you wanted for a rebuild. You really wanted to hope he would capitalize when he had the opportunities that he had early on when he did get to those cups. That's where his window really was. But I don't think he was a coach that is necessarily the coach you want if you're going to try and restructure the franchise. Right. You want fresh blood in that scenario.
I had an interesting discussion with a couple of people in regards to the Rangers, and they brought up the point that if they didn't have the two ends of the spectrum, the really young and the really old, and they were just established players, in the middle of their careers, then he would have been a great coach.
Yeah, and that's kind of what they were when he first, came on board. They were a team that was on the cusp, and they were right there. Game 7 against the freaking Kings. Oh, God, that was a heartbreaker. But
that was actually one of the most entertaining games I've watched in, the past, 10 years. I was on the edge of my seat. That being said, I also love playoff hockey. I don't give a crap who's playing.
Playoff hockey
You can put two people together, and I'm fine with it.
Oh, man, the best game I've ever seen in playoff hockey. It kills me that it was a bad game. Dallas Stars playing in Minnesota. Shootout to beat the Wild. And then the next game, the Wild come to Dallas and beat the Stars.
Isn't that a team and a former team of where they're from?
Uh-huh.
They were the North Stars before that.
Correct.
Yeah.
They were the Minnesota North Stars, became the Dallas Stars. Now the Minnesota Wild came for retribution, and they got it. That was 2 seasons ago, though. The Stars, back-to-back seasons out of the playoffs.
But yeah, now that AV's gone, it's time to fire Lindy Ruff, too, because I swear to God, if he takes over, I think he was really, worse than AV as far as messing with development.
So he's the Hornacek.
He's like the Rambus.
I don't care.
Just useless to the team, and actually not worse than useless, actively harmful to the team. And unfortunately, Gordon's interviews don't really sound like they're getting ready to fire him. It sounds like they're open to keeping him on the staff. But luckily, it doesn't really sound like he's a candidate for the head coaching job.
Whose interviews?
GM Gordon.
The Gorton Fisherman?
Sure.
Somebody asked the Union coach if he had gotten called by the Rangers, and he said he hadn't gotten called by anybody yet, and he's not sure why they're asking.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd be calling up a college hockey coach.
Sox are spanking the Yankees right now.
I wouldn't mind getting an up and coming coach to give him a chance to prove himself.
Breaking news: Brad Stevens announced his new head coach of the New York Rangers.
There's not really any current candidates that are established that I'm super fond of. So, a college coach that's really, brought his team, to their peak would be fun.
Speaking of which, Minnesota Duluth loses last year in the NCAA championship. Wins it this year. Minnesota Duluth, your NCAA hockey champions.
Good for them.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah.
That seems to be the MO.
Entertaining Frozen Four.
Every team that comes into the Frozen Four always seems to be from some school that's really close to Canada.
I'm sorry, I can't take a Frozen Four of Boston University, Boston College, Bemidji State, and St. Cloud State to be a legitimate championship.
I'm pretty sure you made at least one of those up.
I didn't make any of those up.
I don't believe you.
Look them up.
I'm not going to.
Boston
I'm just
going
to believe that you lied to me.
You know Boston College.
I know Boston College and Boston University are colleges. Thank you. That wasn't one of the two, or one of the two of the four that I was thinking you made up.
St. Cloud State and then Bemidji State?
Yes. St. Cloud State sounds like something that Microsoft is going to make.
Yeah, it does actually. But Bemidji State's a real college. I believe it's in Vermont.
Bemidji?
Bemidji.
What are they?
I'm looking them up right now. They're a hockey team. That's like the only thing they have.
Bemidji State Mountain Goats?
Bemidji State. One moment.
The Trout?
The Vermont White Cheddars.
maple syrup.
Oh, nope, they're in Bemidji, Minnesota. It's not Vermont. Bemidji State University is a public state university in Bemidji, Minnesota, located on the shores of Lake Bemidji. 1 second. Wikipedia is taking forever. All right, here we go. They are...
Rainbow trout.
The Beavers.
Of course they are.
Green and white.
Of course they are. I'm surprised they're not the Arctic Cats.
I'm surprised. Yeah, no, that makes sense. The other one was St. Cloud State. I'm going to look them up. Dan O'Shea, you continue on with the Rangers.
All right. Well, obviously, already.
If I have to.
Already, some changes planned. They just traded for what's his face from the Devils. Or sorry, I don't think it was a trade. I think they just signed him. What's his name? It's not coming to me for some reason. He's a older player. He's okay. He's in it for the money, basically. Not a huge impact. We're looking at a pretty hefty amount of cap space right now for over the next 3 to 4 years. I don't think they're gonna do anything until at least 2020.
That letter that they wrote to the fans basically saying we're done.
Yeah.
Did that count against the cap space?
I don't think so.
St. Cloud State, they are the Huskies.
But yeah, I saw an article with 10 coaching names to replace AV. Of those, I absolutely despised Sutter, Bilsma. We'd be morons to get them. It would be a downgrade after.
What about Barry Melrose?
After AV, huh?
What about Barry Melrose?
Oh yeah, it would be beautiful.
The hair alone's good for 10 wins.
Yeah,
The most
I would be
slick
fine.
back.
I would be absolutely fine going with someone new. I don't want Tippett. Doesn't really respect his players. Someone put Tort back onto the Rangers. That would just be ridiculous. That's who we fired and then got AV. Kiefer Peters would be okay. But I just...
Now, do you think there's names not on that list that they could be going for?
I think any of the Frozen Four coaches might be nice, or there's probably a million European hockey coaches that are worth a look.
I'm sure that's the case. I mean, I'm sure there's a collection of Russian coaches that are fine too.
Well, the Rangers can be called the New York Russians at this point with the amount of Russian players we have.
That's just in the league in a whole. I mean, most of these guys that play in this league, once it's over, it's not like other sports where we're going to have an off season. They're like, no, we're going to go play in Russia and get double the money.
Yeah,
that's what we're going to do.
And double the vodka.
I'm pretty sure part of their pay is in vodka. No. So, do you want a ruble right now? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Potato water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fire water.
But yeah, so should be interesting. A little terrified to see who they go with coaching, and a little excited at the same time.
That's how it always is. You're nervous. You're excited. Who are the Knicks gonna find to replace Hornacek? I'm excited because I want it to be. Van Gundy or even Mark Jackson. I don't want it to be Kurt Rambis.
Oh, God. We've seen that disaster.
Avery Johnson would be nice. He did a good job at Alabama.
Yeah.
He's doing a good job at Alabama.
Yeah.
Especially if they decide that they want to draft the point guard from Alabama. Might make sense.
That's true. Although I think at what we're projected at, number 9, I'm hoping for one of the Bridges, McCall or Miles. I think I like McCall slightly better. I think he's a better prospect, even though I think Miles would be the better player day one. I think McCall would be the better player overall after a couple of years.
I think we should go back and redraft Kostas Papanikolaou. Anyways, let's continue on with hockey. Do you have more you want to say about the Rangers? Because I got the list of matchups here. All right.
Let's go to hockey playoffs.
All right. We're not making official predictions yet. We can save that for next week because